afternoon or Thursday morning, depends on where you are in the world. I'm going to get this thing all the way up. See what we got real quick. Get this thing turned on so we can get cracking. Gotta get this thing together. Looking forward to seeing what we got. Is everybody feeling? Let's see. Let me get this thing going. Because I have to get this thing cracking. What's up? What's up? How you doing? What's going on? How you doing? I'm just getting started, so give me a minute to get the stuff cracking. Give me 1 minute. I gotta send all my streams out. I'm doing this live stream. That's what I'm doing, and I'm also sending out all the messages, letting people know that I'm here. So, give me a minute. What's happening? All right. I don't be asking questions. I don't know who you is, and I don't be asking people because I don't know who you is. You now, if you have ever watched any of my videos, you can tell me what you think of them. But as far as asking me what I business and stuff, I don't disclose. Remember, it says protect your privacy. So feel free to ask about context. How you doing? Thank you for coming through. Welcome aboard. Thank you, thank you. And again, I'm just sending out notifications from my other places that I have people that for communication so they can see this live stream. So don't move. It's just that I'm sending out live streams. That's all. Getting this thing, finally getting it together. Finally getting it together. Okay, we are now here. So now I am on. I have sent out all. So now I am on. I have sent out all my links. I hope that people who got it, and we bought it. Here from my thing. Here we go. So anybody that's on, let's talk about it. Yeah, the trailer came out. I put it on my channel. I heard about that. Marshawn Nealon, and I want to probably talk about that. What did they say he passed from? You know, I don't know. That was a shocker. Just a puppy too. I'll have to find out more about it. I heard about it. And I didn't touch it. Thank you, Casper. Yeah, I just hope, it's sad when you hear that. I didn't address when y'all asked me about what I thought about the Jets unloading half their team because, again, football deals don't usually make or break your season like that. It's not like the NBA where you can get this pickup and, you make this move and then all of a sudden you become a contender. It's a lot of factors involved. There's a lot of season involved. So I don't really get into it. I mean, if the Colts get anything out of Sauce and them cats, more power to them. I think the Jets are stockpiling. That's a smart move. NFL is a heavy on turnover anyway, so you really only banking on a quarterback lasting a long time. The days of quarterback, receiver, running back, defense cat playing more than 6-7 years is unthinkable today. So, you signing up to get a pick him. But there's some teams that just have better options, but we'll see. So I don't know. But anyway. But that's what's going on. But I'm gonna get some more details about Marshawn Nealon. Anyway, my poll questions about this Michael Jackson movie. And that's the one I want to talk about. I seen look good. I heard about it. Well, a couple people that happen to work near his camp, and yeah, the film's gonna be tight. It's gonna make crazy money. Because Michael Jackson, when nobody else fails, has been great for the economy and great for things around the world. 75% saying they hype, so good. We definitely gonna have a big show today. Hope everybody's doing good. Of course, we talk about whatever you want to talk about. I did a video earlier about Russell Westbrook. Very impressed with what he did. Basketball, that triple double. They saying he washed. Not quite. The Democratic Party. I'm gonna talk about the New York mayor. I used to go see that movie Mississippi Masala. So the cat's mother was the director of that movie. Wow, what a small world. Denzel Washington. That was one of them movies with Denzel where you had to be a Denzel fan to understand that movie. You go back in that time, so what a small time in the world. As a matter of fact, I see Missy Masala. It's probably you got a better chance to find it on YouTube than you do at your video stores. I had it on video a long time ago. I watched every Denzel movie. No. But stat wise, he gonna talk crazy. I listen, I got respect for the cat. He ain't been Oscar Robinson though, but I got respect for him. I think his problem I have is that Oscar Robinson was a two guard. Oscar Robinson was a guard. What you think Oscar Robinson was? I don't care what he say. He wasn't a better rebounder than Oscar Robinson. Care what he say. And one of the reasons why he fell out of favor with a lot of people is because he would ball hog. He would play. He the only guy I ever know who played 21 with himself. Steven Adams be standing there and he'd be Bogart and get the board or this. I think if he had just concentrated on playing an all around game without stat padding and played right, he may have saved face for Kevin Durant. I think that's one of the things that hurt him. But no one's going to knock his tenacity and how hard he works. No one hardly outworks Russell. He's frustrating for other reasons, but it's not because of his work ethic. So anyway. But no, I had to give him a shout out. I was very impressed to get that triple-double against Golden State. I don't care if Steph Curry and them didn't play it off. I'm looking at him, and I'm like, why is he having a hard time getting a job in the league? Especially when, a lot of these teams could use him. They could definitely use his services. So, I'm just saying. I was going to keep it 100. So. But anyway. Anyway, I hope everybody doing good out there. Excuse me. Hope everybody feeling good. Everybody's around. Now, I'm going to ask it so people come out. What's happening? What's up? Anybody got any thoughts or comments? Feel free to talk. Because if you give me good conversation, I'll be on for an hour plus. If not, I'll cut this like an afro. I'm just waiting to see what people got to say. What you mean came to Earth? When was he above Earth? You guys like this is an 82 game season. It ain't done in 8 days. And yeah, if you call down Earth by them suspect files call, well, you look like somebody that's gonna get thrown out of here. So this is for you and you. I ain't dealing with no trash on here. So he has to learn how to, utilize his body, pass the ball off, do things like that. That's all. So, but they need guard play. They should have won that game last night. But there was some bad calls. I tell you, I don't trust those refs. Right in light of what's going on right now, your mafia and all the details, the Lakers are winning. No. Asterisk. But he shouldn't foul out either. Superstars don't foul out. You're gonna give Luka Doncic 4 fouls. You got to foul him out too. So I expect when they go to Dallas, when they go to San Antonio, he'll foul out. No, he ain't. No, he's not. He's not the MVP. Shea is still. No, they're not. He was fat and out of shape, and he didn't play properly, and they couldn't get nothing out of him. Then let me let you on the secret while you up here talking. Because he didn't come prepared in shape. He didn't play up to his capabilities. Why are you acting so like you don't understand stuff? He's past his level. Who got the championship? Who was the league MVP? Who was the finals MVP? Disrespect is not tolerated. If you're going to be disrespectful on this and you're not going to be rational, we're going to have to conclude this, okay? Because SGA done what Luka ain't done. Okay? He ain't played. No, he wasn't. When was he out of shape in 2000? When was he out of shape in 2001? When was he out of shape in Orlando? No, you're the one that's living in the past because you don't want to acknowledge stuff. You want to start unnecessary comments. And I'm talking about right now, who's 8-1? Who been scoring? I don't know who you is, so I have to remove your comment. No, it wasn't, because he could have been MVP that year. They gave it to Iverson. No, he was not. Do you remember 15-1 postseason record? Do you have amnesia? You ain't talking to somebody who wasn't there. I was there. 15-1 postseason run. And Iverson just happened to beat them that first game in overtime. Out of shape my left toe. And if that was out of shape, I'm scared of what being in shape was. He finished second in MVP to Iverson. That's your choice. So you're gonna quote everything Kobe said? Kobe wasn't better than Shaq when Shaq was in his peak, was the peak in prime. You gonna be a Kobe pirate now? If you don't like Shea, that's one thing, but don't come on this channel disrespecting and talking about someone who done already accomplished something that so few people have. And FYI for SGA, he's third all time with at least 80 plus 20 straight point games. Only Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain are ahead of him. So if that's terrible, I'll take that terrible. And you can hate all you want on Shaquille O'Neal, the last player to three-peat in the finals. Got nothing to say. That's the mic drop. That's the mic drop. Kobe didn't do it. Durant didn't do it. They all flop. Flop. LeBron flops. What you're talking about flop? They all flop. It's part of the game. But can the man make shots? Does he end up being clutch? Is he a difference maker? Yes, he is. y'all got selective vision about who y'all like. What's up? Hopefully, I'll get somebody on here who will talk with a balance. Thank you, Tom, for coming on here. I'm dealing with some haters. And what you want me to do with that? And he hasn't played. He's missed a few games too. You do know that don't. He missed about 3 or 4 games. I don't want you on my channel, so you're gonna be a problem. You're just gonna be a troll. I don't deal with no trolls today. He came with his former team out of shape. Okay, he brought that on himself. Okay, so there's a reason why Jason Kidnam gave up on him. It took a fire under his behind. Did you not watch him against the Timberwolves in the playoffs the past year when his own coach said you can't be all out of shape? That's been one of his peeves against him. So he's doing what he's supposed to do. I'm not going to say it's a bad trade unless he wins multiple titles. When he wins a couple rings, then I can say that AD got a ring. They old, and they hurt. What you want me to say? I'm not disputing that. But I'll tell you this much. I'll say this. If Anthony Davis was halfway healthy and could stay healthy, that would be a fair trade for both teams. I'll tell you that. He just can't stay healthy. Because skill-wise, he is bad dude when he played, but he just don't play. Kyrie hurt. Clay is old. I like the other cat, all right. And Cooper Flag is just a puppy. And they got in the wrong position. It's not a bad trade. It's only a bad trade when you start winning chips, okay? It's not a bad trade right now. Win a couple rings, get back to me. Till you win 2 rings, I got nothing to say. I don't know nothing because I know AD got a ring. I know AD been further than Luka has. Yep. Who went crawling for him when he was in New Orleans? LeBron did. That's an insult of the worst order. I said it don't count, but that also works against LeBron too. Try to be slick. AD was actually gonna probably be the Finals MVP if LeBron didn't take over game 2 and ball hog, and AD was never the same in that Laker jersey. You know. You sitting up acting like AD is some scrub who ain't. No, I said that. I'm not I'm not a fan of that bubble ring. But I know that AD could play. And I know that AD is considered one of the 75 greatest players ever, had a big time impact. Good for him. But you see, I'm gonna have to say this, and I don't know if you take this the wrong way. You must be white or something to defend this turkey, because if he was black, they'd be crawling all up on him for being out of shape to come in and play all stiff and look like he did the way he did against Minnesota, which was a few months ago. I like how y'all got selective amnesia. The guy embarrassed himself. Coach called him out. He was out of shape and chunky. Why you think Dallas let him go? So you up here just trying to like roll the film and go, oh, look at what he is now. They called his butt out for being out of shape. He gets paid to what? Play basketball and be in shape. Ain't no not. You don't get paid to sit there and eat donuts and stuff. James Harden could play though. And he could score. He got that Euro step down pat. He's a brother with a Euro move. He's half Euro. I'll give you that. I said they both the same. I said the only difference is the skin color. Same cat. The same cat. The difference is that Luka's got more, has found a way. I think he's gonna get covered by going out to LA. Harden spent a lot of time in Houston, never had the right sidekick, and then he got dancing on one leg. I think that's what hurt him. And what did they do in the finals? How'd it turn? And do you really think he goes in there without Kyrie Irving? Do y'all really think he goes that deep without Kyrie? He had to have the right horses with him. And he got smoked by Golden State, remember? See, Jason Kidd, who is a pretty good authority on talent, Must have gave it to Nico Harris and said, I can't do nothing with him. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. Thank you, somebody making rational sense with them. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. And you see, what Timothy, what people don't want to accept is this. He was, I'm gonna have to go with the OJs on that. And I did Temptations Collins a class back up the OJs. He was out of shape. And he was so arrogant. He came to LA and did it in game first finals against Minnesota. They got the butt knocked out. Game 3 in Minnesota. He was drinking beer and eating burgers. So I'm not trying to feel sorry. He's doing what he's supposed to do. I'm supposed to like give him a church hacky sack, a race, a ribbon because he's actually in shape and playing like he's supposed to when he had all the time. He's been in the league long enough now. And if they did light a fire in his butt, good. How come he couldn't do that in Dallas? Well, until he wins a couple rings, I'm not saying a thing. They owe. But what they had been stuck with him and he'd have been on his own company time before he gets on shape, that wouldn't have been no better. The league wanted him out of there anyway, because that's why Cooper Flag was picked to go there. So I'm not even gonna talk about that because if the mafia ain't behind that, I don't know. He's a puppy. I have no expectations for him. He's out of position. He needs some more. He needs some more. Needs a more little chunk on his shoulders, and he needs some help. And that team is old and broke down. I'm not gonna argue that point, because look at what he's stuck with. The rejected party. I mean, AD's hurt, Kyrie's hurt. Look at what you got. For me, it's gonna be after 7. And I do like All I Do Is Think of You, but nights like this, I love after 7 for me. And that was a strong remake. Have you seen the Michael trailer? It just came out. I got my video out on it too. But I got to give it to after 7 on that one. Oh, now that's the best thing you done brought up yet. Oh, shucks. If he had the right attitude, I tell you, Miami. Attitude, he'd be a steal. What's happening? Hello from Russia. How you doing? Yeah, it's out. It's on the Michael. You type in Michael Jackson trailer. It's out. It's a minute 12. It's on Universal Lionsgate. Welcome from here from Russia. Good to see you. There. Shoot, I would Golden State could make. I mean, Tell me, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, because he's the kind of injection daddy. Not like Norman Powell, but man, that would be a splash for Miami. They need something, Yes, I do. How you doing? Welcome back. Good to see you again. Yeah, the Miami don't have no firepower. And I don't want to hear nothing about that everybody was hurt. They don't have no fire. They couldn't beat Denver if they had all their fire. He's the guy. Because no one would see that coming. That would be a move. Pat Riley would need to pull an ace out. He could discipline and get somebody. Zion in South Beach. I mean, John in South Beach. I'll give you some examples where he could go good. There. No. There ain't gonna be no Kyrie. It ain't gonna be no Kawhi Leonard situation. But there, maybe the Pacers. Orlando, if they really were serious about a move. Who else could I think? If Atlanta cared, Miami, Atlanta, John Cougar on that one. Shoot, I'd almost say Milwaukee because Giannis needs somebody that gives him a spark. I'm not trusting the Bucks. I just don't. If I was keeping Ja out west, Houston needs a firepower player. They think they need one more firepower. He could be interested in Minnesota. Playing with someone like Steph would do wonders for him. Oh, wow. I hope it wasn't his ex-wife. Because you always think stuff like that ain't by accident. What's up? You wonder. I hope it wasn't nothing nobody inside hit. Um, that's the main thing. I'm sure they're gonna find out what's up. Thanks for letting me know. Where else could Ja go? Shoot, I'd say to Dallas, because Dallas sure could need to make a move. Yes, 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 yes. Because anything short of a ring, and he's just a dude that's basically pulling a Carmelo, except with better postseason run. Yeah, he need to win a ring. I don't know about best Nick ever, because that'd still be something, but I know he don't. But Brunson got a chance to be better than Patrick. He really do. Because if you win in New York, believe me, look at Eli Manning. They debating if he's a Hall of Famer. You think Eli Manning goes anywhere else and they be debating if he's a Hall of Famer? Who did he win? Who did he beat? And New York carries crazy weight, yo. Look at Shohei Ohtani, who's a great player, who I think is one of the 15 greatest baseball players ever. But what did he do? He went to the Dodgers. What's he done? 2 rings. About to win a second league MVP. And you got to put perspective on where you play and then totality. So when you ask that question, you in a big market, big place, jewelry, yo, they go hand in hand. And I ain't trying to be rain on nobody's parade, but you know, it winning in OKC ain't like winning in New York. Yamato, heck of a pitcher too. Cat was bad. Like for instance, if Shea played in New York and what he just accomplished, oh God, Allen Iverson wouldn't even see a front page again. But it depends on where you play and where you win. So I'm just telling you, depends on where you are and where you win. That's why they want Giannis to move so bad. They want them cats to move bad. What's happening? How you doing? Thank you for coming through. Welcome aboard. I'm doing good. How you doing? Thank you for coming through. Where you coming from today? Oh, I'll try again. Because suddenly was too slow for me. Suddenly, life has no meaning to me. Now, I like his old stuff though. It's called playing with discipline and focus. They got a meat and potatoes coach. They got a quarterback who's got an it to him. They only biggest problem is they are turnover prone. Drake can get hit and fumble, but the thing is this: they play smash mouth football. They run the ball. Their defense does enough. They bend, don't break. They play tight. And they playing within their strengths. They're not showboating. They're playing Patriot way. That's all. Smart playing football. You play smart football, you win. I'll say this, not surprised by Denver if you respect Sean Payton. He know how to coach. I don't like him personally, but he'll talk about a cat who knows how to get it done in the regular season. Even though Bo Nixon leaves a lot to be desired, but their defense is legit. They don't make a lot of mistakes. As far as the coach, yeah, but Jonathan Taylor, who I always thought was the right, like the AFC version of Saquon Barkley, they, but their division's kind of soft. We'll see how that turn out. Not all them 7-2 teams is gonna finish 7-2, but I'll say this: It's parody in NFL, and you get hot at the right time. You just never know. Yes, thank you for giving Michael Jackson a shout out. The trailer looks really good. Looks really good. It's gonna be one of those day oneers. It's just like I'll be telling people, that's the most dominant music artist of my lifetime. You like him or not, you can't get you can't get people reaction like you can with that. They just don't make artists like that no more. The problem is that they didn't choke the Philly. Had they beat Philly like they supposed to, and what's that other game they blew? If they beat Philly and they win that other game, then we got a different story. But the problem is, he doesn't have any star power. He's in LA, but his coach is just as big as he is. There's no Aaron Donald on there, and they don't look like even the best team in their division. People think Sam Darnold looks better. I'm just saying. You got a problem with my takes. I'm gonna keep it 100. Seattle got everybody on the everybody riding on the Seahawks right now. I hope he does something, but he keep finding ways to lose to Philadelphia. He beat the Eagles. Then what you just said, yeah, but that loss was bad. They lose, and when they lose, they just don't really recoup. It's like I debate about him, but it's just that's what's up. So there's parity in NFL, and but yeah, he's one of those guys that he has to come up big in the postseason. The way they lost, yeah. That's what I was trying to say. I had this big old argument with some cat from Jamaica, and they were trying to say about him and Bob Marley. I said, "Look, do you realize from head to toe, can't nobody be in Michael Jackson's world? Really? We can say so and so might be a better writer, or might be a better singer, or producer, or arranger, or might have this or that. But when you put the whole components together, Michael set a standard, and that can't be denied. The most dominant artist of my lifetime, because everybody was watching that cat. If you loved him, you bought his records. If you were okay with him, you bought his records and others. And if you didn't, you made sure you bought others to support who you like because you knew you had to go through him. A shakedown by Evelyn to me. But to be fair, everybody's thinking the Seahawks is the best team. To be fair, no one trusts Mac and Cheese Jones. To be fair, Matthew Stafford and them did lose that game to Philly. And when they lose, they look suspect. And they don't really look as good as what the Seahawks are starting to look with Sam Darnold, to be fair. Because Sam Darnold was balling last year. To be fair, Matthew Stafford never improved upon winning that Super Bowl a couple years ago. So therefore, he's been kind of forgotten. To be fair, that was a fair enough trade for him for Jared Goff to Detroit. But to be fair, you know, well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. I'm just going by what these heads on sticks keep saying every day when I'm watching ESPN or something. Sam Darnold's getting that love. Stafford's not. So take it up with them. I don't have a dog in the race between either one of them. But I'm going by, momentum. Seattle's got momentum. Told you. That's the only problem with the Rams. And you like to believe that you're right. I'm not gonna argue with you. Of course, I want to go see it. What's that got to do with anything about Michael? What's that got to do with it? Uh, you let me put the light bulb on you. I went to go see that movie back in '87, and it was a live movie, but it wasn't like he was playing live. And also, Sign of Times doesn't get the same shine as Purple Rain, but this is biographical, so it's a big difference. So it's not comparable. And also on top of that, Prince was a Michael Jackson fan, like Michael liked Prince. So I'm gonna start no mess up in here with this. But I'm gonna say this real quick. I like Sign of Times the movie at the time. But like a lot of folks who left her, he didn't do a door, ticked a lot of people off. No story, another video. I don't know why this is even coming up about Prince and Sign of Time movie when I'm talking about Michael Jackson movie, it's gonna be about his life. Sign of Times was not about Prince's life. In fact, he sugarcoated that fake ring for Susanna in the box. Really didn't really tap on anything. And for the record, he had a ghost director because it was really directed by Alvin Magnolia. But we're not gonna keep facts and straights. So I'm just gonna keep 100. I liked it. Still thought Prince had a lot of energy in there. I like those versions better than the album versions, and he re-recorded and redubbed everything. But I can't make no comparisons because you know I don't understand. I hope that Washington's head coach don't pull Mike Shanahan like what happened to RG3. I hope not. And when you're up 38-7, why you got a guy back in there for getting empty calories and stats? First of all, your defense sucks. You need to pull in. You need to pull everybody out and bring the Gatorade crew in because you was a mercy game. It was bad. They need to let him heal. They're not gonna do anything this year. Their defense is horrible, and they wasted getting Debo. They just a waste. They got their butt handed to them on a platter the other night, and they're not that good. And I think they had a hangover from being the MC runner-ups in the championship game, and they need a dosage of reality. They're getting it. But anyway, I don't I don't understand what this whole Prince Sound of Time where you coming up with that one because I don't do that on here. You know. Yeah, I'm more of a Michael Jackson fan, and I talk about his dominance. I never said anything bad about Prince though on this set. Prince had done great with that film. He didn't bring it to the States. Stage show was great. Probably my favorite stage show. I went to go see Prince in concert. I seen them both of them in concert, and I followed both their careers. And people are entitled to who they like and whatnot. But I'm not gonna get into no, to be honest with you, matter regardless, if I like Michael more or whatnot, I miss them both. There's a gaping hole. But then again, I miss R. Kelly being out here too, because he ain't got nobody writing no songs no more. But he locked up. But I miss when we had artists that let me tell you something like this. Watching that preview, Michael Jackson was very creative. And he was musical. And let me throw something else at you before you pop off. Working with Quincy Jones was looked upon as one of the most craziest things you can make of. You can look at it in hindsight now and think, oh, you telling me that wasn't a gamble? Do you know what he went through when they left Motown and went to Sony's, then CBS? They had to make Destiny the hit or they would have been dropped. When he wanted Quincy Jones to work on him off the wall, they thought he was crazy. Why a jazz cat? I don't think you realize and respect his creativity to work with a cat like that. Everybody has a team. Everybody has a team. And before you get on me about this Prince One Man Show business, no, he had Andre and he had Dez. Okay. He had Sonny Thompson. He had a team as well. He had the Warner Brothers was saying stuff like, we want this song, we want that type of song. Same thing with Michael Jackson. Same thing with Michael Jackson. And the same thing with a lot of artists. One thing I liked about Prince at the time, he had more of a freeness about him because of the type of subject matter he talked about. That's what I will say. But that's kind of how I feel about Rick James too. He had that kind of air. But hey, Prince came out of his mouth and said Thriller was an important album for black musicians. He said that. It's quoted out there. And he knew what Michael went through as an artist. See, so the bottom line is they both were creative. Prince might play more instruments and all that. I'll give you that. But to act like Michael didn't have no musicianship creativity, you had to have something to work with someone like Quincy Jones. And you had to have the talent. You had to have the ear. You had to have the discipline. That took work, you know. So you can, it's all that. Michael Jackson wrote, he played some keyboards, and he had a say on the final mixes of his songs, you know. I have no problem with you thinking Prince is better. I'm not even going to get into all that. I said before, I'm going to say this again for the record. Regardless of whoever I rank or what have you, I miss all them cats because we don't have that now. See, I'm not in no more comparison. I'm not playing Sandlot, middle school, high school mess. Cats are gone and they missed at the end of the day. You like who you like, what you like, what you like. But I'm just saying, overall, as a music fan, I miss the cats being here, period. There's no standards hardly. I like a cat like Bruno Mars, but it's not the same. You know, I like different artists. I'm glad we still got Babyface, Stevie Wonder. I got memories of Lionel and Smokey. R. Kelly was great. Whenever he got out, he could write. I never said he could play more instruments. I said he played keyboards and he was a drummer. And I think he tapped a guitar string. I know keyboards for sure he played, and I know about the drums because there's a Greg Gaines story about him playing drums behind the screen. And obviously, with that toe tap and the way he moved, I know he had rhythm in there. So, never said that. And I'm not getting into about the instrument things because his voice was an instrument. You could put any style of music behind that man, and he could connect. And you can hate all you want, but if you go from 1969 all the way to New Jack Swing with that voice, through all them styles of music, how many artists could do what he did? Now, I'm not getting upset. I'm just making a point. His voice was an instrument. That's why when Time was pointing up about reggae and jazz, all these people who like Michael, that's versatility. You can't teach that. You either got it or you don't. And he had it. See, I'll tell you like this. Take those 70 groups, the 70s groups. You go like the Barge. You go like, yeah, no, I can name Family X, Silvers. They had more talent overall. Well, Michael and Jermaine were bad. Michael, Jermaine, Randy were bad. But Prince ain't the vocalist Michael Jackson was. Not in my ears, he ain't. He ain't never have a voice what Michael had doing Who's Loving You as a kid. And there were people who debate Michael as a kid versus an adult. I like Prince's falsetto. I didn't like his regular voice. Can't put him with Michael Jackson on that for me. For me. Especially when Michael Jackson was a kid. It ain't even close. Not that Who's Loving You. Not that raw gut bucket that he had. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Prince's falsetto I like. I'll give you that his falsetto, not the regular one though. But Michael's timbre was something else, and especially when he was younger. Cause I no. From 69 to about Thriller, especially from 76 through 82, his pipes were incredible. 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 I ain't never heard It Ain't Touching I Can't Help It. It Ain't Touching the Lady in My Life. I sat down, listened to a special audio of Michael singing The Lady in My Life, and I was like, because it's so enriched the way he reached those notes with that instrumentation that I was like, wow. Because I was blown away by I Can't Help It. Like he was doing jazz riffs with Stevie Wonder. That's not touching Michael back then. I will say this, though. Prince was probably his most soulfulest when it came out. I'll give you that. Because he found out he was listening to the Enchantments when he first got signed by Warner's. And he definitely sounded more before he, went Dirty Mind Controversy 1999. How Come You Don't Call Me No More, which was what I call his nice Sammy Davis Jr. Like, I like that vibe, you know. But again, falsetto. Again, the falsetto, not the regular. His tone is what I like. But tell me, you gonna put With You up against Rock With You? Are we gonna do that? We gonna do that? Because I'll raise Rock With You on that. I put I Can't Help It up against. No. Michael's vocals were on another level. Another level. And I was listening to The Lady in My Life. Just chilling. We just having a nice old friendly old feel like with the school y'all talking about Michael and Prince again. We're just different things. Whatever you want to talk about. What's up? What's up? Welcome aboard. I just got the preview for that Michael film, so I just put that out. We talk about whatever though. I'm not getting into debates about because people are entitled to who they like. But I always know every time somebody like Prince, they got to bring up 99 instruments and say this and that and the other, as opposed to just saying, hey, fair is fair, fair enough. All I said was, I miss cats playing. I miss that. Do you got the code? Put a mask on. Even online, put a mask on. I got my mask. Where my mask at? Let me see if I can find one. Hope I don't get in no trouble. Here. If you need one, give me a one. Brother keeps one around. Even online, I keep one around. Because it's real out here. It's real. And I ain't playing about that. I want people to be protected and be smart. Don't get yourself in this stuff. That's right. Appreciate you. I get tired of people always like looking at me funny, looking at stuff like I said, look, y'all. Y'all know good and well what's up. I love Lady Care Driver as a song, but them vocals ain't touching it. And I like look, I think 1999 was look, I like Michael's albums better, the peak for me. But I think 1999 was about the closest thing he came. I know some people say sometimes some of the songs I don't like no more. Some things I do. As a groove, Lady Cab Driver was tight. But the thing about Rock With You, if you slowed it down, it could be a slow jam, mid tempo, pocket jam. I mean, that was the thing. His cadence back then was unstoppable. He was a standard back then. And I will say this too. If you ever heard Sunset Driver, I gotta find out about that because I kept getting hearing about Matthew Nealon, and that's sad to hear. I gotta do some more digging about it. If you ever hear what was I gonna say about it with that? Yeah, Sunset Driver. That's the most Minneapolis thing that Prince didn't do that Michael had as a studio as a cutting room floor cut, which that came around off the wall, somewhere between off the wall and the Triumph era. Sunset Driver was the most Prince thing that Prince didn't do back then. That's an interesting track when I hear that one for that time period because it had that rawness. Michael had done stuff like that. I don't know, but he got stuff like that on him though. But I did like Lady Care Driver. I mean, they don't argue about like I said before, even though, even though. What I like about Lady Care Driver, he showcased the instrumentation, and I love the Lynn drum machine, and I like the vamps and the way he had his drums backwards. But DMSR was my cut off that, if you must know. To me, that was Prince's anthem in the early 80s. And I still think Dirty Mind through 1999 was his holy trinity. I think that's what he was his, dare I say, real peak and prime as far as the groove goes to me. But it's all good. You know, we can agree to disagree. But I don't want to buy somebody looks like somebody's dancing and stuff or a musician because uh I I listened to both of them. And I do know Michael was a huge influence on Prince because Prince said so early on. He, you know, he gave it up, and they went through the same channels because was it Perry Jones who used to be on Facebook who did the Earth, Wind and Fire? If you ever listen to Gratitude, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Earth, Wind and Fire." He was briefly Prince's manager, so when uh Michael was working with Quincy on Off the Wall, Prince was in that car, had that car ride. They hung out, went roller skating. They spent time together. You know, it's a lot of stuff that goes on. You know, but no, it's all musical to me, and it's all a lot of the stuff. I'm to me, the Purple Rain album was inspired by Thriller in part. I thought the album was inspired by Thriller in part, and I thought the movie was inspired by his feud with Rick James in part. I think there was like he was channeling stuff. Something I see with Prince, he channeled a lot of stuff. But I'm not getting to like they each were dynamic in their own way, you know. And the bottom line is it's sad how they both got taken out because you know who's making the money. What I get excited about and I get excited about as a fan ain't the same thing what these handlers get. Prince didn't even like that album. Did you read what he once said? He said aside from Kiss, he wasn't that happy about that record, which I wasn't either because I think Parade was a lot of uh okay, who is this mean? Oh my God, it's you because I don't know who you is. At the time, I like Girls and Boys. I like that. I like that vibe with that sax bird that Eric Leeds did. No Love and Holding Your Head. I think he took that groove from Yes, Owner of a Lonely Heart. I like how he the long version. I like. I like that. I like the way it grew. But I always thought that it was like pots and pans. I didn't like that flower power era that he did. Uh, well, I ask that about everybody that comes through here. So I don't know. I think the movie he was trying to well, obviously he wrote the character with Mars, but it didn't come off the way he wanted it to. But that's really how Prince is, though. There's many sides to him. It was many sides to him. I just didn't really Parade just kind of like sat there with me. I never got the whole I never got it like that. I thought it was kind of corny in spots. I thought Mountain sounded like the I don't know, Wendy and Lisa, that was their track. I just thought some of it was kind of I thought it was to me like a he was doing like a Junior Whopper version of Kid Creole and the Coconuts. That's how I felt. And I do like Kid Creole and the Coconuts. And if you ever get a chance to, if you don't know about Kid Creole and the Coconuts, check them out. Cause Prince got a lot off of them. And they both were inspired by each other. August Darnell's a bad dude. But Kid Creole and the Coconuts, if you listen to Endicott and I'm a Wonderful Thing, baby, and all that, you'll see. You'll see what I'm talking about. No Fish Today. You'll see what I mean. Christmas on Riverside Drive. You'll see what I mean. If you haven't been if you haven't been acquainted with Kid Creole and the Coconuts. So but anyway, that's why I thought Parade was channeling. Because it's kind of funny because Eric Leeds and Wendy and them both said that was they listen to Kid Creole and the Coconuts a lot. And then of course Prince wrote for the sex of it for Kid Creole and the Coconuts, which he didn't really care for talking about Kid Creole. But that was more to do with the corporate heads. They wanted to try to get a hit on Kid Creole and the Coconuts in it. So another story, another video. But when I talk about music, I go into different places and spaces. But I look at people totality. I'm not gonna sit around and you know everybody had a uniqueness about creativity. You know, Prince's thing is that he channels so many fibers in him. The guy was like a walking, like he been definitely like been watching a lot of everybody. He was a sponge, and it was cool when it was on point. When it was on point, I will say that. All right, let's see what we got here. Good to see you. About time. About time. I didn't really care for new position except for the bass line. That's the only thing I liked about it was the bass line. Another love holding your head. Good to see you. Hey, what's up? Good to see you. The long version. And I like how he did that Bill Withers, get your foot on the rock. Because he got that from Bill Withers, who used to babysit Wendy. Lots of stories. Lots of stories. Live show was tight. Oh, not much. Just talking about different things. Feel free to come in, give me questions, whatever you got. Yeah, but the stage show in '85, he I'm just telling you, there was a lot of similarities, and they both was checking each other out, and I know it. He was a bad dude. It's just that because he had the Elvis meets reggae thing with the adaptation thing he did, but Bongo Eddie was his Sheila E. Him and Cody Monday did the whole Morrison Jerome thing before. That's where Prince got his stuff from. That's where the time concept came from. Because Andre and them went over. That's who they picked it up from. First time they went over Europe, because Kid Creole and the Coconuts were on one, they couldn't get no love. Signed the time Matola, couldn't get no love. He had them two white chicks, had the coconuts, and he didn't get no bag for it. That's why he stayed over in Europe. I kid you not. That was before Wendy and Lisa. Prince was slick, had the money on him. And again, if you know certain things, you see certain things, you'll see that how these things came into fruition. Because Matola used to manage Kid Creole and the Coconut. And then Kid Creole got kind of in the new wave-ish, but Wonderful Thing, baby, is a funky song. This so was Endicott. There's some jams. In a fair world, he would have had and when I saw the 85 and then the 87 live performances, dancing at the Baines was time. But he was before them though. Well before them. And him and his brother were part of Dr. Original Vanna Savannah band. Shay Shay LeBon. So the guy was playing bass and singing back in 76. Been around for a long time. I follow him on Instagram. Kelly Monday too. Because those cats did that whole Morrison Jerome thing and they had the girls. I'm just telling you. Just telling you. When you watch how that business really, what they put money on and what they can do, It's a lot of politics. He doesn't really talk no more though. No, he don't give a lot of interviews. He very low key because he got out of the states. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not gonna sugar. But what he did was it 83. You can look up the picture. It was him, Paul McCartney, and Michael Jackson. Because when Michael hit big in '83 and McCartney, they won a UK award. It was a picture of all three of them. It should be up on Google somewhere. You can type in "Hit Creole Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson." They were holding that gold record that they all won together. And and what he ended up doing was making records that was reminiscent of MJ and Prince, kind of like how things went on as gone. But what he was doing musically, he was like doing like a reggae thing with a pop R&B thing, and just didn't get because like what is it? What's it? What's the tongue in cheek song? Uh, Mister, I can't think of the song right now. But anyway, Wendy and Lisa used a lot of that because a lot of the stuff that they was doing, they were definitely listening. Mr. Softy, yeah, that was the one. That was one of the ones that they was by. No, it was some suspect calls in that game, but the Spurs just didn't finish. I don't think that's the last you're gonna see of it though. Did I like that song? Hmm. To be honest with you, I can't recall at this moment. I have to really sit and listen to it. Ironically. And for someone who listened to a lot of Beatles songs, that song is not really registering on me. But what made you ask me about that song? Okay. I'll check that out. Then because you recommend I'll look into it. Because I usually, yeah, obviously I know all the hit songs. But when I listen to the Beatles, I got to be in a certain mood too. Because, like, I'll give you an example. When I sat and listened to that Sgt. Pepper's album, dude, I thought I was high. But there's a few reasons why. Because he came around an era where we had a chance to grow up on him, which Calvin will tell you. If you were a certain age, he didn't have all the technology, and but you had to have the special it. He had an it about him that no matter what sound, what was going on, he was gonna be on it and make it work. So that alone speaks to his talent, his one of a kind type, the one of a one. To answer your second question, you gotta have the songs. So Quincy Jones used to always say, he had this one saying where he said, because I love his quotes, he says, a great song can make a terrible singer look good, but a great song with a great artist. And when you put those two together, it's like the cosmos, the universe come together. It's you got to have the songs. You got to have something that people will, connect. It's all about the stars and molecules. You got to connect it. Everybody don't got it like that. I don't think Confessions is a classic album. I think it is for an era that of people who will settle. His vocals are good, and I'm gonna tell you this about Usher. I liked his halftime performance, but I didn't love it. He got all the makings of everything right except putting the soul where it comes, where it hits. It's no next level to it. Jay Z called him out. Jay Z said, I don't think you got greatness in you because it's a settle. He's close, but then he's kind of like a karaoke. It's almost like he's a lounge act with it, just comes close because he doesn't have the next level. To me, he's an after school special Michael Jackson. Always have, always will. Most entertaining male artist of his generation, I'll give you that. And got soul in him. Can sing, but there's something that ain't there. It's next level. I just never felt it with him. As far as Chris Brown, well, no, that ain't gonna happen. Because for one, he can't really sing, and for two, he doesn't really have challenging songs, and for three, he's in an era where a ringtone, a song like that, he doesn't have anyone to really challenge him. So that's how I feel. Yellow Submarine is funny if you wake up at 3 in the morning and you hear it out your left ear. Well, again, it all depends on what you consider a classic. I don't consider it a classic. I say for his era, I think that 8701, yes, I still think you don't have to call it his best song. I like Confessions the song, but I think You Don't Have to Call is probably my favorite Ushers. And the other song I like is Here I Stand because of that drum track. But the problem with Usher is that I don't there's no challenge there. I don't feel it. But I gotta remember something. I grew up watching Michael Jackson. I saw Bobby Brown. I seen Tevin Campbell. I seen some cats. He is successful, but he's missing something. Now, I'll say this: if he had R. Kelly's catalog, then we'd be talking about him a whole different category. Could he use a step in the name of love? Happy people? Yes, he could. He could use something like that. And then I could go, okay, I could get it. I just don't get it. I think the White Album, I like them after they did the LSD era. The stuff before the LSD era was cute, good, great pop single songs. But after they did that LSD, I say from after 65 onward, the last 4 years, I think that's where they got better. The early stuff, I like the hits, but I wasn't really feeling the vocal. I thought they got better once the higher they got, the better they got. I'm just saying, you know, you know. And being honest with you, I think as songwriters, they're in that top five for me. Musicianship, I like McCartney's playing on bass. Lennon could play a bit. George Harrison was a sleeper. He always wrote a couple songs I like. Ringo had the coolest name. Pocket was alright. George Martin was a great producer. And when they got Billy Preston as the fifth Beatle, that's when they stepped their game up a little bit more. But I was never blown away by them as musicians. Because I give you an example. When I heard God to Get You Into My Life and then what Maurice White and Al McKay did with it for Earth, Wind, and Fire, they had the songs. They just sometimes somebody else could fill in the blanks better. Ray Charles did for me. Aretha Franklin did for me. I mean, as far as covering the songs. So I'm not gonna win a lot of Beatle love, but I don't care. I think as songwriters, I give them that. In My Life is one of my favorite songs because that had like a hip hop beat. I like that. They had songs that I like. Eleanor Rigby. I like their songwriting and that. But as far as like, when we start talking about not the instrumentalists, no, not that. But they definitely, for what they were doing. And that's the reason why they broke up at the right time. Yeah, I heard that one. I did hear that. Long time ago though. See, I went through a Beatles phase, but that was a long time ago. My favorite Paul McCartney is probably A Long and Winding Road. I like the way the cadence of that song, you know. I could always tell when who wrote what. Paul had them whimsical, Dee type songs and the chord progressions, because you can tell by Revolution that sounds like John Lennon. It's the tone and the bass and the groove. Burn, I could take a leave. I liked it better at the time. Yeah, it was basically Petey Pablo. Remember the original? I heard Petey Pablo's version a year before that. He had the same music. It's just, and Usher didn't really want to do the song, but it blew up. I like Confessions. Candy Handler was alright. Bad Girl was cool. Superstar, I like the groove on that. My Boo was a nice, cute song with him and Alicia. Seduction was cool, but nothing that I was blown away. Not a, Ask some people who came up in the 90s or something about 12 play R. Kelly versus Confessions and see which one gets more love. I know you're going to tell me Confessions went diamond and sold more, but ask yourself, does he got a song on it that's touching bump and grind or your body's calling? Just saying. That don't mean nothing. I remember Double Fantasy. I had that album. Starting Over was a catchy song. Probably my favorite thing that John Lennon ever co-wrote or had a hand in was Fame with him and David Bowie. That was the funkiest thing. That I like that. I wasn't that big on his solo career. I wasn't that big on Paul McCartney's solo career. He had hits too. He had songs that I liked a lot, but I wasn't like go over his solo career. I liked his hits. I liked the hits, but I wasn't like going, oh wow. I didn't, to be honest with you, all them solo, they had some songs that I liked. I think McCartney was the one I liked more as far as solo, but I wasn't blown away. Well, he never had a chance. First of all, he came out as a babyface clone, which is not a bad thing because Babyface is one of the most important singer songwriters. Ask Calvin about Babyface, whether you like him or not. You can't deny that guy's impact the last 40 years. And Babyface had a crazy game, still touring. But he was like a white clone of him. And then he could write, he could perform. But that thing when he hit with Tupac was a fluke because that wasn't even supposed to be a song because they don't know was ended up being the big hit. So he got mishandled. He can play all right. Yeah, he can play, he can sing. But what ends up happening is if I talk to 30 heads who can't tell the heads or tails between him and Robin Thicke, he'll get lost in the shuffle. I like Silly Love Song. Coming Up was my jam because he played all the instruments on that. I remember that one. Of course, that was played on my R&B radio back in the day. Um, Someone's knocking on the door, like that one, and I like Let Them In, and I like Live and Let Die. But I like stuff, but I wasn't blown away by his solo career. You know, you give me 6, 7, 8 cuts, and I'm cool. But a lot of other stuff I wouldn't listen to a second time. Just saying. Because obviously he was stronger with the Beatles. But he had charisma and he could play. You know. But I still think he wrote his best stuff with the Beatles. That's all. I know what he did. John B wasn't bad. I did too. Because she was really cool. Because as a matter of fact, I eat her. She has vegetarian food, so I've had her food. Funny you mentioned John B, though. I was thinking about Clay Thompson, but you mentioned John B. But I do. I like John B. I like him, but I also know what happened, you know. And then he got kind of shelved, and then he's ended up just, you know, a guy that had some talent, but ended up getting whitewashed and then got sidelined. And then it just kind of like, so unfortunately, it happens. And it happens to white artists too. Yeah. Well, you saw that second chick he married. That was a bad faux pas. I'm glad he's happy now. Third wife is the wife he got now is cool, but that one in between who had the plastic leg and arm, she was a pain in the behind. That mess was a disaster. Yeah, when you fall in love, you meet the right person. It definitely, that's just human nature. You know, you know. I respect him. He need to shut up about Michael Jackson because he was his he was him and Barry White had hit Michael about the publishing game, but he was too cheap to buy his own publishing. You do know that story. Had a chance to buy all that for 10 million back in 1980 because he had signed that deal with Sony, CBS Records, and he originally had Little Richard's catalog. He had Dion's catalog. He had all these catalogs and masters. And he got on TV and started crying, and Michael hoodwinked him and cried when he had a chance to have access to his own stuff. He wouldn't pay for it. So he has got a deal with Sony where he had masters. They hooked him up at 80. You know. If you ever want to read a good book about the business, and if you don't, it's called Hitmen. Came out back in the day. It's a great music book if you haven't read it. And McCartney was one of those cats. And he's one of the richest cats. He's into a whole lot of stuff. But I love Babyface, and I let it be known because I tell you something, Babyface always put me in a good mood. Every time I had money on me, I listened to Babyface. Don't ask me why. I remember I walked down the street one time and I had some money. I was going woo, and they just the tender love era. I mean, Calvin ain't gonna like this, but when there was some of us, especially black folk, when they got tired of listening to Prince, everybody went over to LA and Babyface. Even Prince was listening to Babyface because he had that Rolling Stone interview and they asked him who he liked. And he mentioned he was big on Babyface too. Babyface had it going on for a moment. I heard some about it, but I didn't go into it. But I heard about it. Oh, you know McCartney would get a buzz on. Yeah, he could write. Shoot. All that with Bobby Brown and with Braxton and Tevin Campbell, the Mac band. Yeah, I like they slow cuts. They fast cuts sounded like triple Junior Whopper Prince rejects, but and that's what they end up doing at first. But the slow cuts, shoot 'em up movies and Two Occasions, which was a classic. I still love Sweet November. Not Sweet November, Sweet November. Yeah, yeah. Came out in 85. What am I? Yeah. Love that song. Wasn't the biggest fan of the deal though. But Babyface was like an inevitable to hit though. Because he wrote songs. And Headcat was sitting on Can We Talk for 10 years. I mean, he got songs, you know. The deal were a nice second tier, praise. But that again, when in two occasions changed the landscape. I like, that I love you, and I like uh what's the other one? Um I forgot the one big hit. Dun, dun, dun. But anyway, I did like that though. He was good. Michael had a Michael Stevie Wonder influence on him. And he was actually before Usher, but they just didn't put no money on him. Ran him off. It was decent. Yeah, I Love You Baby was a jam. In the scariest way. You Know What's Up. That's the one I was trying to think of. Thank you. Because he had all them U songs. I like that a lot. Left Eye's freestyle was nice on that one. Yeah, remember when Babyface did that on Soul Train? Had the fake toy trumpet? That was hilarious. Had the S curl greasy. Menace for me. It still hits. I like Boys in the Hood a lot. But Menace was a bit more raw though. I thought Menace just went another level. Cause Lawrence Tate, I'm still waiting for him. He's gonna be in that Michael movie too. He's playing Barry Gordy, but I'm waiting for him to be old dog again. You know. Yeah, that Mary Mack was funky too, Calvin. Mary Mack was a tight jam. That's when he was soloing on his songs too. Yep. I like them both. Should give me $2 million cash. I'll take the cash. I'm gonna tell you why, because you know what? If you go back to six, well, see, it depends on what your life was like. My parents were almost on Splitville, so and I had a tough situation, so no. And if I had to spend and go back in time and go back over everything again, that would be tough. But you give me the $2 million cash, I'd just be comfortable because I would bless somebody with stuff too. That's what I would do. Not for what you think. You still got to learn because you do realize that if you knew everything, you wouldn't live that long. You do know that, right? That's a human spiritual reality that if you go in knowing all everything, your time is done. So what would do me to be good, have all that at six, and may not be as much. I, see, I'm gonna have to do. Well, see, I like New Jersey Drive. I don't love it, but didn't that dude, the light skinned cat, remind you like a young Rick James? So he was narrating. I like Set It Off, and Latifah was believable. Yeah, I remember that. They came to where I was back then too. It was a Jerry Curl feast back then. You just need Red for the World. You'll activate a whole first 6 rows was gonna hit by some curl juice. Because if you it's almost like Steve Jobs, all those electrolytes that go through your system. And if you notice, people who live this like full type of life don't really live. You know what I'm talking about, KJ. You know what I'm talking about. You don't I watched it, and that evil white dude, you had that dude with that chop cut. If you was that in tune to so much, your electrolyte, your spiritual, you'd be a conflict that you couldn't really find nothing. That's why you see so many what I call young genius types of great talents who die so young because that electrolytes hit so much as such a trigger. So to have all that at that particular age, it would be hard to really grasp onto the new. And what you're also insinuating is before technology took over too. So it would be a conflict of interest. I'm just saying. Because when people tend to know too much or they get that kind of deep, there's nothing else to live for. Think about it. If you knew what you knew and you go back in time, would you ever get married? Would you make every woman involved with have a prenup? Would you would you go anywhere? You'd be a hermit if you knew. Because what do you see? You see a materialistic world around you. You see people always the number one reason why people crash out, you would be your own worst enemy, be scared to be shut. I think the number one reason why people crash out is well, it's peer pressure. You go through that as a kid. You know, you do know for most cases, most times, most people, their peak is when they're in high school. I've known professional people. I had a, I'll say this for Calvin. You'll like this one. He was like an uncle to me and my family. He went to Soul Train. He was there when I was a kid, back when Thriller was out. I met him. We used to hang out, family situation. Long story, but anyway, short story to get to cut the chase. And that his highs was high school. Cause I'm like, you get to hang out with Don Cornelius. You on Soul Train. You get to see such and such. You get to watch Michael. You can play Thriller on your jazz rate. All that. Did all that. It didn't really have the same connotation as what he did in high school. So I learned that. I learned that what we get excited about, some other people don't. You know, some people are starstruck, but some people are not really into that. So, you know, it's a lot of emotional baggages. So, you know, but yeah, you go through the political gain in your mind, and you're trying to fit in, and you're trying to, you know, it's a lot goes on. So you got peer pressure when you were in school. So you know, it's real. It's real. It's real. What we got going on? We got 69% saying yes for Michael. I think the film is going to do quite well. I think it'll probably be a big film. If anybody can generate the hype, it's Michael Jackson. But I do think that we're talking about a lot of different things. Whatever you get in, yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that I'm sorry to hear you're in the hospital. I hope you be all right. Let's give Calvin some show some love to KJ for coming through. Even though we got into it about Michael and Prince, which I'm not trying to start no flames, because after losing D'Angelo, and you know, like I say, I get sad when I think about cats not here, and then other things. Because you need to make a move. You need a point guard. You might need to go after John Morant. Michael Conley's long in the tooth. And your coach don't know how to coach up that kind of talent. They don't know what to do with Rudy Gobert because he gets in the way of Julius Randle. You got a squad that is decent enough to go on the back-to-back Western Conference Finals. You got to figure out how to get over the hump. You got a guy who should be next on the superstar Wheaties box, and you treating him like he gonna be on the Fruit Loops box. I like him, but you need somebody that's a little bit more happening. You need some electricity. Y'all need to find more ways to bring up more electricity. Well, I saw it up close and personal, and I didn't care for it. Family members and brother, while it's coming out, while it's come out, what's that? I don't know what that means. About him. Oh, I know you're talking about the Cowboys. Oh, well, yeah. You know, a lot of these younger athletes who, a lot of stuff goes on. Yeah, that's the cow from the Cowboys. I think he's trying to tell me about Marshawn Nealon, which it's not surprising because cats be running in some strange circles these days. See, I know, and this is the thing why I call it the plantation. So if you ever hear me talk about sports being the plantation, well, she wants you to be around because being a black man, and you know how it is. Shoot, my grandma used to do them Benson and Hedges, and I wouldn't buy them for I understand the stress, brother. I get it. It's tough being black in the states. It's tough going through the politics, the day to day grind, and sometimes just that to keep your pulse and your mind from going off. I get it because it's a very stressful situation. Not just stress, but just the reality of stuff. Yeah, I think that's what Timmy was talking about, the guy from the Cowboys, which wouldn't surprise me because he probably didn't feel like nobody was going to listen to him. I heard about Noble, and brothers don't want to be ran in with 5-0 because especially in Texas. Just keeping it a buck. Yeah, my grandma used to do them Benson hedges. That brown box was like kryptonite. Well, conspiracies and stuff is there's a lot goes on. You see, it's a lot goes on. This whole thing with Diddy and then Prince Andrew, all this stuff is connected. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that you'd be surprised about. Maybe he was forced into it. You never know. They don't never want to solve who really with Tupac or Biggie. I'm just saying. Green boxes. My grandma had the brown box. And those things were like a CD. Remember when CDs were in the long box? That's how those were. Them things, people be holding them a certain way. I remember. And I remember the former Surgeon General, the one that was with Bill Clinton, and she said that it had to be a slave master with cigarettes. I remember. Her son got in trouble for the bust. You have no time limit when you grieve. I'll give you an example. My grandfather's on my father's side, he passed over 40 years ago, but I still think about him time to time. You know, you got no time limit because there's things that when you encounter this world, things that you see, only a small few can understand what you're talking about. And there are people that touch your lives. I think the biggest thing I ever miss when someone goes is the words they would say. Not that they got to suffer no more, because I don't want nobody suffering. And I understand about the time here on earth. However, it's those words that you need to hear. It's like them words I need, you know. Like that uncle of mine who passed. You talking about Bobby Brown's daughter? She went through a lot. and I think she got took out. I think Bobby Brown knows about it, and that's the only reason why he has to be cool. And he's been like numb because of everything that happened. It's tough losing her mother like that, but I don't think nothing was by accident. So none of that stuff in that industry is by accident, because a lot of stuff you see is smoke and mirrors, and it's controlled by a handful of people that can make or break what you see, what you say, what you do. And you can call it a conspiracy, you can say what you want, but then you ask yourself, how come situations ain't never resolved or solved? There's a reason. So, but it was said about Bobby Christina. Mm, we never got no answer. Oh, it's true. But there's no easy money though. Yep. No, it's good to be honest about it. I mean, that's why we look for music or we got memories. I mean, we got things that we flash back on. You know, we have our emotions about how we feel about people. You know, I just think that it's important you tell people you love them and you showing genuine compassion. And funny thing, I'm talking about the very subject here with Michael Jackson because it's what he gave to the world, and he really, I know it does, it's real. But Michael left without no country. After he got found out, now he got acquitted, he had no home. Everybody was eating off of him for 50 plus years, and he's the only one who couldn't eat. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, let me tell you something about the music business. No one else gonna tell you about it. It ain't just laying down music because you got to sign papers and documentations. And you might have to give up the name of your rights. You might have to give up who you are. So maybe not in the same sense of unloading boxes in a trailer, but it's hard mental work because you have to lawyer. You got to know what you sign. And yeah, I had to deal with them shots a long time ago as well. And you might not get anything back, and something make a ton of money. So it's hard on the head. Might not be physical, but it's hard mentally, and that can be even worse than having to lift something. Because at least if you lift something into a trailer, you might see about $20. You might see some money. You might sell 2 or 3 million records, and you might be lucky to crack 20 grand, and get taxed on that, half on that. So depends on what you're dealing with. It's not as easy as it's a tough business. Even Prince talked about that. A lot of people talked about how tough the business was because there's a lot of politics. It's not just we put your picture out here. No, well, it's because they didn't own the business for one thing. You do know who owns the business. Then on top of that, look, if I get you out the projects and I give you some Jerry Curl juice, about 3 or 4 304s, a car, some clothes, you ain't gonna ask me about what's gonna be down the line for a DVD residuals of this. You're gonna be excited in the moment. Yeah, yeah, it's real. The vulnerability is definitely something. Definitely something. Definitely something. But everybody's been vulnerable through something. Like I said before, you have to pray on things and you have to put things in perspective. You know, just take one day at a time and be thankful for what you got, and know that people do care about you. People just want to see the best of you. They don't want nothing from you. That's what I like to try to tell folks. I will listen to what you have to say. We might have to agree on everything, but we do at the end of the day, there's a respect there and making sure everybody's cool. Because life can be tough on the head, no doubt. And you're dealing with a racist country and world, and you're dealing with people's, insecurities and emotions and feelings. So it's real. It all adds up. Well, who you think? Who you think? And that's kind of like a random thing to ask me about them because obviously I'm going to probably gravitate towards juvie, but I don't really think about hip hop acts like that, and artistically because, I did like his Tiny Desk. I got to watch the Doobie Brothers Tiny Desk because that one just came out. I got to peep that one out. I want to see what they do and see if Michael McDonald is there. Well, Juvie probably, but Wayne had the better career. But Juvie, I can understand what he'd be saying if but Wayne for the career you'd want though. Never mind, they close. I got it now. So, but like I said before, it's important that we talk these things through. I don't think that it's not they don't care no more. I just think that time moved on. I think Lil Wayne, you can't write but so much, and Kanye, you know, I think it's just timing. Everybody has their artist moments in circles. You do. That's good. Prayers to your mother. That's good to hear. Good to hear, Calvin. Yeah, you just keep praying with stuff. I ain't boycotting his music. I just thought he got his issues. He's doing what a lot the industry does anyway. They turn you out, and he had to sell out for his mother. He had to sell his mom. He had to sell a lot of stuff out. You know, he had no choice. You remember if you go back in '99 when "How to Rob" came out, that was his debut song. Well, it's like 3 or 4 years before anybody would touch him, and it went until M and Dre and them got him out to Interscope and got him on board. Nobody was messing with him. So you figure you're gonna hustle one or the other, and then it's like, okay, I gotta do the film hustle. The vitamin water, you gotta keep a bag coming in. Well, it wasn't that Jay-Z did that with Rockefeller. I mean, they all have to do that. Diddy did it. Cats know there wasn't no money. Even back then, they know the kind of lifestyle won't be no money and no music. Dr. Dre made more money off them headphones than he ever did for music. Because if you sampling and you looping, you got to pay all that budget, and you got to rent them clothes and that whole. So you learn the game one way or the other. It's nothing but a hustle. See, even if you ain't from the hood, if you black and you go in the music business, you gonna get the slave treatment. You gonna start off. They gonna call you Toby, and that's what happens. So they all go through it. They get this facade and this image, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and then you know, no, he had the right people get him at the right time, and he product alignment, you know, because that's what you got to do. You can't make no money off of just music. Got to have a side hustle, and this was before all that. Ain't nobody gonna boycott his music. They just don't like him. But then they have to ask themselves, when did he ever really change who he was? Because he was always trying to. Well, the same thing pretty much I would say about Nas. Well, he also understands that, hey, it ain't what you think it is. That's the lessons there with J. Cole and any of them. Live within your means. Don't live beyond your means. You can run up a crazy credit card. You can run up crazy debt, and then you ain't got no hits, and you got to pay all that money back, and you got to file Chapter 11. So just handle your business as it is. He's coming around in an era where it's not really a superstar driven era like that anyway. I know before people come at me about Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter, it's not really a superstar driven league. He had no choice because what was he going to say? He's a good rapper, but first of all, let me tell you about J. Cole. He can't spit with Kendrick on that depth, and he ain't as commercially as accessible as Drake. So yeah, he was definitely out of pocket either way you look at it. What's he gonna say? Kendrick got like a nobleman vibe that sells records. Drake's got crossover appeal, sells records. So you're in between that. What you gonna do? You ain't gonna do nothing but bow gracefully. So, and besides, it could have been not career ending, but it could have definitely been a stain for him to come in it because he doesn't really carry that kind of weight like they do. No, happy birthday to you. No, I want you to talk. If you come on here, well, no, we talk about music and we talk about everything from back in the day, but feel free to vent, man. Shoot. So I got this forum set up for. I welcome you to do that. I want you to always feel like you're welcome to talk. And like I always say, anybody want to reach me on Facebook, just find me on there and what have you. I ain't got no problem with that. Well, you gotta have the money and you gotta have the songs. And and I tell you like this: if you ain't doing cheeks for checks, booty for looty, and you ain't got no baby oil, you ain't at the right parties, you ain't gonna get big. I don't really know about anybody being big today because it's not the same. When you say somebody big, it don't carry the same weight because most of these cats that are out now can pretty much have a moment. But when I'm talking about doing something that makes an impact, that's totally different, you know. But anyway, Calvin, that's what I'm saying to you. Anytime you need to reach, reach. Don't hesitate. I don't want nobody to feel like they can't talk. That's one reason when I come on here, we have real heart to heart conversations. Some people write me off, talk to me offline and stuff. It's all good. I got an ear for you. I mean, he had impact. He's one of those kind of cats though that I liked in dosage. He might be. I mean, when you say top 50, you can make cases for cats that came out the last 25 years. You know, hip hop ain't that old. Are you really serious with this question? Because let me tell you something, right? When she did Under the Influence, that's the first time that Denise Matthews' Vanity actually, I thought, okay, she had a good, decent voice. She wasn't much of a singer, but she could, Jill was the better singer, but I think if you're going to ask me, because sometimes Jill might screech. So if you're using that against Jill, but she still had a better voice though. To me, Jill had a chance to have an Etta James type of thing. She Lord knows she went to the torment and she had a story to really tell. She saw a lot of stuff up close and personal, and she was in on so many things with Prince. See, her and Lisa Coleman were in on a lot of projects. And she didn't play like Lisa did, but she was on a lot of stuff. Sometimes she just takes that to her grave, though. We ain't gonna never get the totality. We'll never get the uncut book. I'm always ready for a good question. But when you ask me about Jeezy, I'm like, that's not that good. I like Jeezy about 20 years ago. Yeah, he's all right. But I don't really think about Jeezy. And don't ask me about Young Jock either. It helped because Cash Money was a good logo and it was a smart move on both parts. I mean, they did what most acts used to do, where they bring back somebody that you grew up on. So it was a win-win. Birdman is a smart money maker, if nothing else. Can't trust that turkey, but hey, he know how to make the bag. Ain't no hurt. Ain't no hurt because she hadn't had a hit before that for a while. She tried the independent record, which she ended up doing, which those things she sold them out of her garage, and them things went Reynolds rap. So she got with Cash Money. It was tied to Universal, but there was some money. She was actually able to get on there, and it was a win. Because it's a shame when an artist like her caliber, he doesn't get heard from again because nobody. Oh, the Motown era is the best stuff. Sony music, her era was hit and miss. Some things I like, some I didn't. I mainly like the hits, but the Motown era was her best stuff. Especially when she was working with Rick James, that early stuff. I bought that record. It was her independent record. I had that at a used shop Funny story. I think that's how Lenny Kravitz is on that record. Because Lenny used to live with her. And she hooked him up with instruments and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, he would just probably tell her to hold the bass chords or something. Because he had Jerome Benton miming he was behind the screens. He could probably teach her like a couple things. Cause like if he preset Drive Me Wild or Nasty Girl just hit the vamps, that's all. I'm sure he could teach them how to hit chord vamps. Cause he had a lot of vamps in his songs. So you a Prince head, you gonna know exactly what I mean. Go, dun, 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 dun. I'm sure he could teach her how to hit a vamp. And just hold down a, B flat, go and don't move. Kind of like how she was in the 1999 video with Lisa Coleman, just like you riding the groove. Cause I heard about that story about how him and Vanity and I forgot who it was cut a song in the studio. Vanity was supposed to be on keyboards or drum, Now she originally co-wrote Nasty Girl, ironically. She didn't get no money for it, but you know how Prince was about them credits though, but that's a story I heard. I don't know if she could play or not. Yeah, probably so. Behind the groove. Don't even dare ask. I like Pleasure Principle, but I like the vamp on that with Monty Moyer. That was a nice vamp, but Behind the Groove was wicked. They both had busy grooves going in the songs. It's amazing, like about 5, 6 years apart, but I like that bass on Behind the Groove. Shake your body. I'm gonna be on for 15 more minutes just so you cats know. So, because it'll be 2 hours. And I won't be back until Sunday after this one. So, um, California Love. Because the only thing I really liked about I like the drums on In the Club. DJ Quick hit the beats on that. And I think that was the best part about doom dun doom 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 doom. And I like how he was channeling Mace. Because that's how 50 Cent reminded me of. He was definitely channeling Mace. But California Love was wicked. Both versions. And originally it was supposed to be a Dre song. And originally, the doctor was learning how to play the sax. That's the story I heard. Originally playing the sax. Story goes he was learning the instrument because that's why he's gonna come up with the Chronic Part 2. That was a story I heard. Oh yeah, musical match made in heaven. Well, she was gonna get she messed with two of the most important producers of the '80s because she was involved with Andre. You can say he was probably one of the in that 50 top 50 most important producers of the '80s. You can make a case for, of course, of her work with Leon Silvers. And she had babies with both of them, so she was gonna get right. She's interesting person. Still a Thrill is the most Prince-like jam that Prince never put out after '82. That's the best song that didn't come out to post 1999 as far as a groove go. Andre killed that one. High five. Cause I like the chorus. But them guys got some bad situation with them if you hear about their personal lives. I did like Whatever You Want. I like Your Name Was Dwayne. I like that, but She's Playing Hard to Get was my bop. I like Tony Thompson. Well, because I remember them songs like yesterday, and I used to listen to them songs like yesterday. You gotta remember something. Like I go back 30 years ago, and like I can hear them songs in my head, and I listen to both them songs a lot. And I still remember what I was doing when I first, because I remember Whatever You Want, like Your Name Is Dwayne. I still like the chorus of that, but She's Playing Hard to Get. It like that. She's playing hard to get. I like Tony Thompson's tone. Tony Thompson had a nice tone phrase for me, you know. But I like Tony more. I mean, if we're gonna ask me who I like more, Because I liked High Five when they worked with R. Kelly, and I liked them when they worked with Teddy. They had hits that I like. And that one song that Babyface did for Tony Thompson's solo career in 93 wasn't bad. She's playing hard to get was a little bit more catchy for me, though. So, where's Calvin at? He'll like this because TLC Red Light Special is basically an international lover, but in another, I love the way T-Boss sings Red Light Special and Chilean. I like Chile's, the chorus was tight. Weak is the harmonically song, but Red Light Special moves me more. But I do like listening to Weak, but I like Red Light Special. I was listening to that all during the summer. I love the guitar solo, and I like the vamp of it. And for me, that's the best Prince album that Prince didn't make in the 90s because TLC really had nailed it. It was really that tight. Crazy Sexy Cool was just that record. But I like Weak though. But Red Light Special kind of just hits a little bit more for me. I told you when Babyface Pen Game was. I need one more like. If I want to hit one more like, that'll be an even 10. Great poll. Been great so far. Oh God, Two Cats I'm not that crazy about. Because Music Soul Child can't even hold a microphone right. And I'm not that big on Kim, broke Al Jarreau-ish. I guess I give it to Music Soul Child by default. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. He had that one song that was on his. I can't think of it. Slow Cut. Prince was begging him to get it and he wouldn't give it up to him. Forgot what it was. It was a B-side. But yeah, I saw that. They still played with him. Now, the word is Andre had a hand on Prince's records all the way through Controversy. That's the word I heard. Obviously, Do Me Baby, and then, of course, the first two or three that he had a hand in. And he just started getting his residual checks for Do Me Baby in 2014. It wasn't the trannies that what cost him his career. He was not that good. Um, Molasses was a tight song and pimping all over the world, but he was a hook artist with Luda. He was a hook cat trying to act like a lead singer who was still a hook cat. He had a cool name. He had no personality. Where was he gonna fit in modern R&B? Where? Because if I throw out R. Kelly, D'Angelo, Maxwell, Brian McKnight, Joe, that's 5 off the top. Okay. Then you had Gerald Levert, uh, maybe Case, Montel Jordan. Uh, I'm gonna think of some other cats. His tier level was gonna be like third. He did, and then you could mention Donnell Jones. Does Bobby Valentino even come close to Eric Benet? I mean, I'm just saying because I can name a lot of cats. He's gonna have to wait in a long line. So that didn't really. That ain't what burned him off the road. And I forgot to mention Tevin Campbell and Usher. See, I ain't even mentioned some other names. It's not about that. He just was cornball. That's all. He had a nice, catchy voice, but he had nothing memorable about him. There's a lot. Well, you know how it goes. Once they play musical chairs every 2 years. One side gets all the other. The problem with what they're running into is because this is the thing. Trump can do Trumping things. Other people can't. And see, people got this. He's like an Elvis Presley type, especially for white folks. He's got that superhero and this romanticism because he plays this, you know, you know, um, what's who I want to pick on? Not Billy the Kid, but who I want to pick on? I can't think of a character I want, but anyway, he's got this, Robin Hood thing, but it doesn't work for everybody. And now with the tariffs and the government shutdown and his schemes ain't working, and you messing with EBT, and what ended up happening is, I think a lot of people with that whole mega thing make it white again, and they thought, okay, it's all cool. But what happened is that funny thing happened along the way. A lot of people that was trying to get over on others, it ended up impacting them. So that's what's up. What about Aaliyah? We talking about Bobby Valentino. I wasn't talking about any female artists. I was talking about him. But what about her? Bobby's problem is that he didn't have no depth. He was a third tier act at best, and that's what happened. Because he got money, he probably got a videotape on people, and he played the game. And he got in. He pulled the Ronald Reagan. He got his SAG card, and he taps into all the stuff that people's his weakness. And what do they like? They like to chase 304s. They like loose money, and they got video on everybody. That's what's up. So he got the game down pat. And they like that Robin Hood, that looseness. And again, he's got the complexion for the protection because he represents what a lot of people think. He is representative of what a lot of people are. When I tell you that I think a lot of people is racist and stuck in the past and act like they do, what do you think they support? They ain't gonna never vote for no woman. I hate to be the bearer of bad news because I watched, listen to Lord Jamar and the others going on. No, no. They should have, but they won't. Well, it's him, Prince Andrew, which is connected to King Charles and all that. It's all connected. And there are athletes, there are entertainers. There's a lot of people connected. That thing is like the Titanic. And if it ever came out, a lot of people you look at, you won't look at them the same. I'm just telling you. It's deeper than you can imagine. Well, he's in it just by association alone because Virginia Gaff, who was unalive this year, she got that book out. Well, she was working for Trump in Florida, and Epstein recruited her. Well, he didn't tell Trump that, but she was there underage. So all I'm saying is it's all connected. That's the long story short. It's all connected. And when the ship hits the sand, it's gonna be a lot of oh my, oh my. That's all I'm trying to say. You're gonna hear a lot of OMG. But he was smart enough to lock up enough situation where people like to be romanticized. They like stuff where they don't have to share, and that's all. Shoot. That's why America's biggest flaw is ain't never had to share nothing. Imagine they had to share the country. Imagine if they didn't have to put a paper up there to say that you could work because you're black and we welcome you and we not to go through all the racism and hostility. Imagine what the country would be like. Then I could understand it being tough to get into because you'd want to be in there. But they treat it like have nots. They don't respect and they just look the other way. She had better songs, but she wasn't a better artist. She had better songs. Because if Beyonce had somebody like R. Kelly writing for her, and that's the one thing Aaliyah did have. Because I can listen to Back and Forth right now, and Age Ain't Nothing But a Number and At Your Best remix. Come on now, I could take them three and put up against anything Beyonce didn't put up. And you tell me that Back and Forth don't sound fresher than most of Beyonce stuff. And you don't tell me that Age Ain't Nothing But a Number still is catchy. And don't tell me that At Your Best the remix don't. That's the thing. Beyonce ain't got no good pen in her camp. She's got all the other tangibles of the it except for the songs. She'll be watching that Michael Jackson film too. Watch, but she ain't gonna never learn how to put it together. She ain't had to. If we go by those awards and all that stuff that she's got, they think she's the greatest artist ever because they act like she's doing something so new because she does country, couple country songs and says you ain't doing no Ray Charles, you ain't doing no Pointer Sisters, but they got y'all here thinking that you done something. That's what's up. Probably did, but you know what? He's protected. He ain't no different than Harvey Weinstein. It's all connected. Shoot. That's why Diddy should be let go because they got stuff in all of them. Just telling you. Of course they do. But you know what? people don't. They got morals when they want to have morals. When they want to have morals, they got morals. Most time they ain't got no morals. You do remember how the country was built? It's off of slavery and all the amendments and all the rights. Ain't it funny how Diddy is locked up for the Mann Act, but Jack Johnson had a pardon? He had a pardon in 2017 by Trump. But how you gonna give a man a pardon and then yet you use the law against him as incriminating others? That don't make no sense. But that's the kind of insanity that goes on in the United States. That's the kind of stuff that the Supreme Court is bought and paid for because they're letting this guy do what he want to do and he's above the law. If she had kept on with Babyface, yes. I like some of the stuff with R. Kelly she did and with Bryce Wilson too with Groove Theory. But the stuff with her and Babyface, they were like a musical match made. And that to me was the best of her. The other stuff, not so much. So I think she's had what I call a pretty good career, not a great career. But when she did that Do It album with Babyface, to me, they were match made. I ain't gonna got no comment about her and Baby Williams, but I know what I'm saying it would move me. Cause I love when she and Babyface go, and should have done it woo, and then woo, and when she be doing her Anita Baker, and she's like, and then she be trying to impersonate Babyface, and I like all that stuff. But not that mess with Pharrell and the other crap she did. No. And that Diane Warren stuff. What you mean she isn't her? Well, what do you mean by she isn't her? I don't view her as a top flight artist. I think she was only as good as what she had with LA and Babyface and them cats. Reinvented what exactly? What did she reinvent? See, when you say reinvent, you got to talk about Whitney Houston. You talk about Aretha Franklin. I don't put Toni Braxton in that category. I like both those songs, and they both written by Babyface. And it was catchy by The Lover in Me, because that after Prince here and Babyface had great chemistry when she was wearing that weave. Probably Girlfriend though. Something about that groove still hits though. That thing was catchy too. Mariah's late run. Because We Belong Together trumps anything Toni did after the 90s. I like Toni's vocals, but no. We Belong Together is the biggest song. And I don't like nothing unless the stuff she did with Babyface. I still like the last album they did together. I don't like the other stuff she did. She can actually rap too, by the way. I heard her bust a freestyle. I like The Lover in Me, but I like Days Like This even better. I get ready to go. Hold on a second. Hold it. Yeah, I gotta get ready to roll. I do gotta get ready to go. I will be back on Sunday. Let's do some more of this chopping. No, I was talking about Toni. Toni Braxton was on the piano. Her rapping wasn't bad. Tony's wasn't bad. I do gotta get rid of because I gotta hit the bathroom. But I will be back on Sunday. Appreciate everybody coming through. Let's continue this conversation. And if you ever want to reach me, look me up on Facebook. Hit me up on all the things and the clicks and everything. This video will still be on. Appreciate everybody. Prayers to you, Calvin. Same to you, Ryan. Appreciate everybody. Stay up. Appreciate y'all. Peace.